Hello and welcome to a year of Goddess Magic as we continue into April. Our theme for this month is heal, and the goddess we are honoring is Airmid. So as we begin, I do wish to acknowledge that there are many ways to pronounce her name, including Airmid and Airmid. I am a Midwestern American and I'm going to go with Airmid, even though I know that there is a more correct Irish pronunciation for her name. It just doesn't roll off the tongue for me. So do keep that in mind. And we will cover a little bit more about Airmid as we go on through this month, and I will continue to explore her in our live community practices that I do with the Goddess Magic community and also in our weekly divination videos. But before we continue for this month, going ahead and inviting you to take a nice deep breath, presencing yourself in this time, in this place, feeling the sacred ground beneath your feet and the conduit of the holy in your very own chest. Taking a deep breath, calling your spirit back, calling yourself in. And centering yourself in your own landscape of being, in the land on which you walk and where you find yourself right now. So you may wish to presence yourself in this land, on this land, by turning to your own north in your own landscape. For me, it's behind me. So turning to your own north and letting yourself settle into that. Let yourself sense, feel, experience, notice what is present in your own north right now. And then moving your attention to the east and letting yourself notice, feel, sense, experience what is present in your east right now. And then moving to your south. So for me, it's out the window. So now I'm in the right direction, but you can actually turn around. So noticing what is in your south, paying attention to what you can notice, feel, experience, or sense in your own south. And then letting your attention travel around to the west, your own west, and letting yourself notice, feel, sense, or experience what is present in your own west. It is so very powerful to keep coming back to where we are, to the magic of our own place. Those of you who are familiar with me may know that my book, Walking with Persephone, was actually originally titled The Magic of Place, because there is so much that we can learn, discover, listen to, and really cherish about our own landscapes and where we are. And so I always encourage you to root your own practices, to root your own magic, to root your own experiences in your own landscape, in the holy ground beneath your own feet. Okay, so we're going to be, I'm gonna go ahead and let you know that I actually recorded this entire video and then discovered it had no audio. So I am feeling a little bit unfocused in terms of what I've already said, because I feel like I've already said it. And so I do apologize for that. You might be able to sense that I'm a little off in terms of making this video, because basically I already did it once and now I'm trying it again. And so it's caused a little bit of challenge for me. But it actually connects pretty well to our theme of heal. And one of the things that I am personally working with in my own life this year is on healing my own relationship with time, my own sense of time anxiety, my own sense of running out of time, my own sense of having enough time, etc., etc., etc. And so that's one of the questions that I'm exploring, that I'm looking at, like, how do I confront that issue of feeling like I don't have enough time? And so I keep coming back to the affirmation, the declaration, I have all the time I need. I have all the time I need. And I'm acknowledging that this is a difficult one to absorb because it doesn't always feel that way to me. And yet, I continue to refocus myself on the understanding that I have all the time I need. I have all the time I need. And I can make choices. One of the things I wrote today is that, like, if I need more time, like, I need to choose. And so that is part of the way that you create more time, is by choosing well and wisely your own wild and precious life. And so I'm going to go ahead and share a little poem with you about time from our snapshot cards for the month, reminding you that if you go to 30daysofgoddess.com, your initial practice resources are all there, free and printable. So there's printable cards, there's a sampler pack of snapshot cards. The snapshot cards are really intended to help you settle into, root down into, deepen into the month's themes and questions. And so there's a question card, there's a prayer card, there's an affirmation, and then there's a little poem card there as well. And these are intended to help settle you deeply into this practice. They were originally created so that people who didn't want to do daily journaling per se could still connect to a year of Goddess Magic, could still connect to 30 Days of Goddess in a profound way. And so people don't necessarily have to write every day in order to still use this practice in a way that's nourishing them, supporting them, and inspiring them. So that was the initial purpose of the snapshot cards. If you are a member of the Goddess Magic community on Patreon, which is patreon.com/goddessmagic, you get the full set of snapshot cards. So there's lots of extras, and you get the Airmid Story Goddess Oracle ritual card packet that is ready for you there. But there's everything you need just to get started at 30daysofgoddess.com, just from right here, right now, no membership required. So I welcome members. We have really fabulous things, including live community practices and daily content. So there's lots of benefit to being a member, but you can still participate in this practice whether or not you are a member or not. So you still belong. There's still a place for you in 30 Days of Goddess. Okay, so the poem about time. Stop racing against the clock. Time is not something you own, claim, or control. Move at the pace of mushroom. Live in vulture time, rain time, moon time, oak time, poem time, earth time. Slow and steady, patient and powerful. Pick up what you need. Keep what is sacred. Leave the rest. And that's what I was talking about with commitment and with choosing. Lay it down. Lay it down. Pick up what you need. Keep what is sacred. Leave the rest. Keep what is sacred. Leave the rest. Okay. So another poem that I'd like to share as we leave March behind and step into April, this season of growth and change and possibility and emergence and burgeoning and ripening and riotous abundance, things reaching up to the sun, rooting deep, reaching high. There's so much energy and of change in April. And so here is a reminder for us. This is actually in the Year of Goddess Magic book as well, but it's also in a little card version. We have been curled in the in-between, deep and safe, resting and waiting. Now we feel summons, a wild urging, a call to the cracking open. There is a time for being small and quiet, and there is a time for fierce insistence on being present and heard. Time for stretching out, for taking up space, for pushing beyond the edges and daring to grow. The time for reemergence has come, and now we rise. So that is a question to consider this month, is what is calling to you? What is calling to you? What wild urging do you feel? Do you feel this sense of cracking open? What is beckoning you to emerge? You may feel it really powerfully. You may feel it as a tiny whisper. You may feel it as a wild howling, but something is calling to you. And so that brings me to some of the other questions from our snapshot card for this month. And that is, what are you saying yes to? What are you choosing? Are you choosing your own life? What are you choosing? Are you able to honor your yeses and your nos? And then additionally, how do your choices land in your body? Do they feel heavy or light? For me, choices that are right for me open space around my heart. They make me feel expansive. They make me feel free. They make me feel a sense of relief. And choices that are wrong feel heavy and constricting and closed in. So some things expand and other things constrict. And so I lean towards and reach out to and follow that which expands, and I set down that which constricts or confines. And you can't always do that with everything. Obviously, we live complex lives with people and caregiving needs and taxes that need to be paid and things that are important that need attention. And so we can't, it's not like we're only doing what expands, because I have to say, taxes don't expand my heart. And so it's okay if it doesn't always expand everything. But really pay attention to what you are choosing and how it lands in your own body. So I feel things land in my own body in this heart area, in the sense of expansion or contraction or constriction. You may feel a sensation in your belly, in your stomach. You may feel it in your shoulders. You may feel it in your face, in your brow. You may feel it in your throat. You may feel it somewhere else, but just pay attention to how your choices land in your body, because your body usually knows. And I feel like that's part of healing, our healing work. That's part of healing, is to listen to what our bodies know, to listen to what the earth knows, to what the land teaches us, to listen really deeply. And so that's something to consider. But how is your life feeling to you right now? What is calling for your attention? And is there any joy? Do you recognize joy, and can you trust that joy? And I know that there is a lot going on, and that things feel heavy and weighty, and there's a lot to pay attention to, and there's a lot of chaos, and there's a lot of discord, and there's a lot of bad decisions being made. And yet there is joy even here. There is joy in the changes. There is joy in the emergence. There is joy in the bluebirds arriving. There is joy in the sunshine on your shoulders. So please listen to joy. Please lean into joy. Please learn from joy. Please give joy a chance to heal you, to teach you, and to lead you. And so can you trust that joy? So then, back to our theme of heal. What are you healing? There's a lot of things that need healing. It can be a personal issue. It can be a relational issue. It can be a planetary issue. It can be a social issue. But what needs healing? What are you healing? What needs healing? And then additionally, where do you find healing? So our March theme was restoration. And I feel like finding healing is deeply connected to restoration. So what is nourishing to you? What is nurturing to you? What is inspiring to you? What lights you up? Those are things that are healing. Those are things that are healing. So what are you healing? What are you working on? What is changing for you? Okay, so back to Airmid or Airmid, and her name means she who measures, she who measures. And so this month, so Airmid is the Irish goddess of healing and herbal medicine. She's considered to be the matron goddess, or like the patron, well, not patron, matron goddess of green witches, herbalists, and plant magic practitioners, as well as earth healers. She's associated with all plant allies, so all healing herbs, and with the healing wisdom of forests and nature. She's also associated with springs, wells, and snakes. And so I wanted to share a little bit of her classic story, which is basically after her brother died. In the story, after her brother died, Airmid wept over his grave, and as her tears fell upon the earth, they caused all of the healing herbs to grow. So they caused 365 herbs to grow, which was considered to be all the healing herbs of all the world. And then she collected all the seeds from them and laid them out on her cloak. And so the cloaked imagery brings me back to our little cloaked goddess figure, which we've had some questions about recently. And when we created this cloaked goddess, it's because a cloaked goddess, or a cloaked wisdom figure, someone who's cloaked in her own wisdom, who knows her own power, and who's kind of a mystery figure as well, is really present in all across cultures, times, places, traditions. All kinds of iconography from different religions have this cloaked figure, from the Druids to Madonna to the saints to Hildegard of Bingen and her cloak to Bridget with her cloak of healing. There's many cloaked wisdom figures across times, cultures, and places. And so Airmid is another one with a healing cloak, and she spread all the herbal wisdom of the world onto her cloak, which then got scattered. And so she learned, so the herbs all spoke to her. She learned all their healing secrets and knew all the healing wisdom, and she learned how to cure every ailment. And then her father threw them all away, or threw them all around, scattered them everywhere. And so the story goes, this is why nobody knows all of the healing secrets on earth, is because they were scattered all over. But Airmid knows. She's the one who keeps all that wisdom. And so she's cloaked in all that wisdom and all that power and all that knowing. And then we can learn from it. So I'm going to have a little drink. of my own healing dandelion, mint, chicory, herb tea, which I find personally very nourishing and healing. Okay, so this brings me to an idea for this month, a practice for this month, which is I invite you to get to know an herb really deeply. Get to know an herb really deeply. And so I'm going to share a ritual suggestion about plant magic with the Goddess Magic patrons later. There's an additional audio, and our ritual kit for this month goes along with it. But the short version is essentially, if you have a deck of herb cards, so I have the Illustrated Herbiary, and then I also have the Herb Crafter's Tarot, which I like. So if you have an herb focused tarot deck or oracle card deck, let something from that deck emerge for you intuitively, and then follow that herb, learn about that herb, get seeds, plant it, listen to it, learn from it, study it, drink tea made from it, or make a tincture with it, or make a salve with it, but invite yourself to study really deeply one herb. And it doesn't have to just be intuitively selected. It could be something that's always spoken to you. So maybe lavender is always spoken to you. You might want to make a lavender wand, or make a lavender sachet, or make a lavender infused sugar to put into your tea, or to sprinkle on top of cookies. But I invite you to really deeply explore the magic of one herb this month. And so I'll share more about that with a ritual outline on the Goddess Magic community soon as well. So I'd like to go ahead and bring our attention over to this book that I was recommended to me by one of our Patreon members, Kimberly Pollock, and she recommended this book, Awakening Artemis. So it's not technically about Airmid, but it is about goddesses and herbs. And so it is, the subtitle is Deepening Intimacy with the Living Earth and Reclaiming Our Wild Nature, which is a nice connection to next month's theme, which is our goddesses Gaia. And so I'm going to use this book as we continue through this month and into next month as well. So there's several things that I wanted to share with you from this book. And the first is a quote at the beginning from Robin Wall Kimmerer: "The land knows you even when you are lost." And this is so deeply true. The land knows you even when you are lost. The land here for me is my greatest source of wisdom, my greatest source of healing, my greatest source of inspiration, my greatest source of nourishment, intuition, healing, magic. Everything for me is contained in this land. And so, and even if you feel like you've lost touch, if you feel like you don't belong, you do. It's right outside your door. That's the field of belonging, the web of belonging. You're embedded in it. You cannot be separate from it. It holds you, feeds you, nourishes, and sustains you every single day. The land knows you even when you are lost. And then she also shares a quote about the present, and this one connected to me because it uses the phrase unfolding, which I come back to a lot. If you'll notice, that word arises in a lot of my poems and a lot of my prayers. Is I want to be present, in my own life unfolding. I invite you to step in to the magic of what's unfolding, and to inhabit your own unfolding, to follow the unfolding path. Like, unfolding comes up over and over. And I actually thought, because it's been such a present part of my life over the last couple of years, that I continue to come back to the arising and the unfolding. The arising, I even have a ring that says arising on it. The arising and the unfolding, that I thought it was relatively new. And then I'm doing a reboot of my Introduction to Goddess Studies class, and that's all free and taking place on Patreon. And the material from that class, I wrote a lot of it in 2016, some of it all the way back to 2012. And as I'm getting ready to revise the content and re-record some of the pieces and stuff, I was really pleasantly surprised to notice a whole section in something that I'd written back, I think it was 2014 or 2016, that was all about like inhabiting what's unfolding, and how a goddess-centered path, a goddess-based spirituality is so deeply centered in the real, the raw, the earthy, and the ordinary, and the magic of what's unfolding right now. Like, we don't need to go back thousands of years. We don't need to consult ancient texts. Not that they don't have wisdom, they do, but we don't have to go backwards in order to draw up strength, wisdom, nourishment, encouragement, inspiration, solace, and discovery, because it's all right here in what's unfolding. And so I wrote about that, 10 years ago or more also. And so it was feeling like a fresh spiritual insight, but it's really an actually very old one. So kind of funny. And so she writes, the author of this book writes about the present, and this is what she says. The present is always unfolding. It is revised moment to moment, although sometimes we are not available to experience its potency. We might be living in the past, licking old wounds, projecting ourselves into the future, circling the perimeter of our lives, or simply be too busy. But sometimes we are startled awake. Love, tragedy, a breathtaking sunrise, or the scent of a flower can cause us to stop, breathe, drop into our bodies, and pay attention. In those pivotal moments, there is a gap where we can diverge from the traffic of paved paths and move in the direction of the unknown, where wonder and healing are waiting. So let's diverge from the traffic of the paved paths and move in the direction of the unknown. Let's move in the direction of the unknown. Let's move in the direction of what's calling to us. What's calling to us? What is longing to emerge? So she also writes in this book about the inner wild. And so she writes about the inner landscapes of our lives, which are forged by our unique experiences. And so our personal narratives and our stories shape and influence our inner ecology, the way we see the world and how we interact. Our inner world is shaped by all these things: religion, media, culture, experiences, education, and family. And from this infinite space within, we decide how we relate to our body and to others. Deep listening can be our greatest tool for healing. With consistent practice, we can separate the surface level noise from our unwavering core of truth. As I heal, I spiral ever deeper towards my truth. And so I feel like this is really important too, is we have an inner landscape, and our inner landscape is shaped by all these factors. And so let's choose things that shape a healthy inner landscape. Let's choose things that shape an inspiring and enriching and nourished inner landscape. And so I feel like in my own life, I have such a persistence in seeing bits of beauty and finding scraps of magic and feeling breaths of the holy and seeing glimpses of the sacred everywhere. That shapes my inner landscape, and it shapes what I see outside me too, because I'm so committed to finding those bits, the bits of magic, the everyday magic in the temple of the ordinary. I'm so committed to it that I see it everywhere, and it's reflected in my inner landscape and my understanding of how the world works, and it's reflected in my outer landscape and what I see and discover and what I persist with. And so that is important too. And then I printed out, after I made the first recording that failed, I then found an older little card that had a nice quote about healing, and so I decided to include that too. And so maybe there's something here for you, and this quote wouldn't have been in the first video if it had the correct sound. So this is from the author Jade River in the book To Know. To help heal a body or mind and leave the soul unattended is only doing part of the healer's work. Healing is often coupled with ritual. Ritual speaks to the deep mind, the spirit within, in the language of symbols. Ritual words of power, chanting, and spell work communicate the possibility of change to our spirit selves. So the quote from this book about deep listening being so powerful, my Woman Runes book references listening. The Woman Rune symbols help us listen to our deep self. But ritual speaks to the deep mind and the spirit within. So may you take time this month to create ritual for yourself that speaks to the deep mind and that nourishes your inner landscape and the capacity for deep listening. There are so many things that try to drag us off course and that distract us and fragment us and confuse us and outrage us. And it's not wrong to be paying attention and to be outraged, but we need to recenter, we need to resettle, we need to keep coming back home, we need to keep returning, and we need to keep practicing deep listening, nourishing that inner landscape. So the journal questions that went with this card are: where do I automatically assume I don't have a choice? Where do I automatically assume I don't have a choice? And what choice might you actually have? What would I like to change? What calls to me? So calls to me pops up again. What calls to me? And so that is important to share. And then two brief quotes from A Year of Goddess Magic. One is from Doreen Valente. A plant does not need to be rare in order to be magical. So going back to the in-depth study of one herb, a plant, you can have Basic mint or chamomile. It doesn't have to be rare to be powerful. A dandelion, those things can be powerfully nurturing and have a lot to teach you. So it doesn't have to be rare in order to be magical. And then the other quote is from Donna Hines in Queen of Myself. In an undeniable flash of inner truth and commanding clarity, I felt myself called upon by spirit, by destiny, by dharma, by fate, by free will, to embark upon a concerted search and rescue mission for the holy grail of my own elusive soul. So that's sometimes part of what's calling to you too. That's what Walking with Persephone was written about, is that search and rescue mission for my own soul. So is that something that's calling to you? Are you ready to go on a search and rescue mission for your own soul? So what is calling to you? And we're going to go ahead and close with another one of our little snapshot cards. And this one is hopefully will help you resettle into that deep listening, into that deep trust, into that place of power within, and into the power of returning. And into the power of the landscape and the goddess as she is afoot within the natural world. Let us remember that we walk in the palm of her hand, our own bodies conduits of the holy, our lives and landscapes sacred texts. This breath a portal of presence, this heartbeat a threshold of returning, this pause a doorway to the sacred. We need only to listen, we need only to trust, we need only to remember, we need only to know, here we are. We make our own magic wherever we go, right here in the palm of her hand. So may you listen to yourself well and wisely this month. May you choose with care. May you trust your sacred yes and holy no. May you listen deeply to the land and to your heart. And may you follow the calling of what summons you over the threshold and into emergence. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Keep living your magic. Bye-bye.